Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Welcome to All Things Social Security. I am Stephanie Joy, the attorney at Joy Disability. Welcome to the channel, and I hope you enjoy the video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Happy Friday. Happy Red Friday. Thanks to our deployed military members who are working so hard to keep us safe and can't be home with their families like we can. That is what Red Friday is all about, our deployed military members. Step it up for us. I am eternally grateful. And I think many people here are as well. So our Red Fridays are also devoted to Friday Fraud Law Review, where we go over reports from the Social Security Administration Office of Inspector General, who reports on various fraud that in some way reflects on the SSA or affects the SSA or the SSA was involved in. I try to pick out the ones where it was the SSA being defrauded, unless it's something really, really of great interest. Not that it's not all of great interest, but particularly pivoting otherwise or riveting. So in this case, we have something that just came out the other day, March 9th. It was in Connecticut. So I'll read you the title. I like to read the title because sometimes I have to wonder at the end of the, however brief the report is, why did they pick that to be the title when it doesn't really reflect the most irrelevant things? But I'm sure there's PR reasons for that. Anyway, the title is Hartford Man Sentenced to 57 months in prison for fraudulently collecting Social Security, unemployment, and food stamp benefits. The title alone just makes me think, yeah, I kind of tend to think when someone is defrauding a, well, could possibly be any kind of fraud, but specifically when it's defrauding a governmental or government involved agency, that takes a lot of cojones because you have to assume that the government is a little more astute and eventually going to catch up with you, as opposed to defrauding an individual where that might not happen because it's just one person totally unaware who may never figure it out versus who doesn't have checks and balances either for the most part. So, and here, so it stands to reason that if someone's going to defraud Social Security, yeah, they're going to try to get it everywhere else they can see potential freebie monies they don't have to work for. All right, so let's see what they have to say. The individual was sentenced, which means he was found guilty one way or the other. He was convicted. That could be through a plea or not through a plea. It could be through a trial, what have you. So because it says he's sentenced, I'm feeling free to say his name because if he was not yet found guilty, I would withhold his name. Not that you can't find it out yourself, but I'm not going to spread it because he would be innocent until proven guilty. And that is one of the most important rights we have. In this case, it's Ricardo Santiago, age 60, of Hartford, Connecticut. He's the one that received the sentence. Following his 57 months of imprisonment, assuming he actually serves them all, which is a big assumption, right? He gets 3 years of supervised release for the fraudulently obtaining Social Security, unemployment, and food stamp benefits. So according to the court documents, we are told that so this is going back decades, guys, 2002 and 2024, Mr. Unethical Santiago held jobs with more than 20 employers and earned income totaling more than $500,000. He concealed his income from the federal and state government agencies by providing to employers false identification. Okay, so he was using fake ID, including a Social Security number and card belonging to another individual, to get jobs and work and make a working income. And then we'll find out why that was even worse. At least one instance, he used a false Social Security card, not just the number. So anyway, going back to 2002, he did apply for retirement survivors disability benefits, representing to the SSA that he was unable to work due to disability. So just as a refresher, that kind of survivor disability benefit is generally when your spouse has passed away and you are at least 50 and under 60 and you are disabled. But you don't have, you could have your own work record to collect SSD on, but if your spouse who passed has a work record that would be more beneficial for you to collect under, maybe they were a bigger earner, sufficiently big enough where what you would get would be more than what you'd get on your own, you might opt for the widow eligibility avenue versus your own. Or if you didn't have any of your own because you never worked, your Social Security number doesn't reflect any earnings. So let's see what went on here. As a result of that application, he began receiving RSDI payments in September 2002, and that would be the survivor benefits. In 2017, he completed paperwork to maintain his benefits, in which he asserted that he remained disabled. Must have been like a CDR, continuing disability review. So he was asserting that he remained disabled and that he had not worked for the past 2 years. Yes, when they say past 2 years, that's usually what the CDR is looking for. For those of you that are either collecting Social Security Disability or SSI or are hoping to, you're probably already familiar with the fact that almost everybody is subject to CDRs, continuing disability reviews, which are supposed to be periodic for every recipient virtually. But in some cases, it's more frequent, and in other cases, it's less frequent, depending on the various details of that particular person's disability. Okay, so he ultimately collected more than 316,000 in that survivor benefit payment, and all of that to which he was not entitled. In 2017, he submitted to the Connecticut Department of Social Services, he's a greedy fellow, an additional application to that entity for SNAP benefits, that's food stamps, representing to this Connecticut DSS and the U.S. Department of Agriculture that he earned no income from employment. He began receiving SNAP benefits in March of 2017 and subsequently completed forms to renew his SNAP benefits, on which he again represented that he had no change in his income and that he earned no money from employment. So, and in that SNAP, he got about $18,000 in purchases that he was not entitled to. So just to put it all together, he was getting the governmental benefits on the false IDs of other people. I don't know whether they were alive or dead, probably dead. But so those Social Security numbers were not popping up with earnings. So that's why he was doing it. I guess it would appear that, no, actually, he did it the opposite way. He was doing that under his own, I'm thinking, because they said that he submitted the false stuff for all the employers. So he's working under false IDs, earning income under false IDs, so that his own Social Security number remains clear without any income reported to it, so he could therefore get away with claiming he didn't have income. Okay, so we're all clear, right? Am I clear? Hopefully. In April of 2020, Mr. Santiago applied to the Connecticut Department of Labor this time for unemployment insurance benefits. Well, that's pretty funny because you have to have been employed. Let's see where this goes. Although, maybe he did it on one of the falsies. On the application, Santiago used a Social Security number belonging to another individual, and he represented to the DOL, Department of Labor, that he was unemployed but available for work and physically able to do so. Wow, this is like such a tangled web this guy waved for himself. Like his greed just kept getting the better of him. Like here he is already getting all these freebie benefits while he's working, and he just got to go get one more. And that one more is where he says, oh my God, it's just really funny. I'm wondering if he used the same Social Security fake ID from one of his working jobs that he did in order to get the unemployment, because he couldn't have been using those most likely to get the SNAP or the disability, clearly the SS disability. So, wow, he probably just mixed it all up. And that probably brought the whole house of cards down. Let's see. Yep, he said he was unemployed, not able to, and was available and able, willing and able to work is what we have to say to unemployment. He subsequently completed weekly certifications, making the same representations from April 2020. So that means he did this. His little greed got the better of him. It's April 2020, guys, when COVID hit. And they put out all this easy way of getting unemployment when all of our businesses took a big hit, right? But, when the hit is over, and granted, he wasn't supposed to be working anyway, so how could he suddenly get that? Because usually unemployment, you have to have paid in. and recently enough. Unemployment is generally, and it's a state thing, but I think they all kind of resemble this. And I can only remember this from New Jersey back in the day, but they look at the last 5 quarters, the first 4 of them. So not the most recent, but the last 5. And that's where did you work and how much did you pay in for the unemployment insurance, which comes out through your paycheck. And that is what that is going to determine how much in the pot you have for unemployment to be paid out for you and at what rate and when will that pot run out that you've earned and paid in. So somehow we must have been using some sort of, work record that showed that, because I don't think that, I highly doubt that when COVID happened, the unemployment said, and you don't even have to have paid in. You didn't have to be working in the last couple of years. Anybody can collect unemployment, even if you were never a worker to begin with and clearly would never have planned on doing this. You know, I can't imagine they did that. But then again, when COVID happened, a lot of ridiculous things came down the pike, just handing out all the taxpayers' money to whoever stuck their hand out. And boy, has the fraud come out in these last few years. Let's see. Did the weekly certifications. He got $36,000 in payments from unemployment. So he's been ordered to pay $371,000 plus in restitution. That seems a little low, considering what were the numbers I spewed out? Social Security. Oh, his income was almost 600,000. Let's see. Yeah, maybe that is the amount that he got. So, all right, so he has to pay back 371,000 and change in restitution. Do you think he's going to be able to do that at age 60, particularly when he's in prison for 10 years? And I'm not saying he shouldn't be in prison. I don't think we're going to get the money whether he's in prison or comes out, personally. I don't think it's going to ever get paid back. So I say let him rot in jail. Sorry. Did I say that? He was arrested in May of 2024, and in February 24th of 2025, he pled guilty. Wow, it took all the way to September to sentence him. In September of 2025, while released on bond and awaiting sentencing, he staged his and his daughter's drowning in the Connecticut River and attempted to flee. He has a daughter, huh? Hartford police located him and his daughter in Hartford some days later, still in September, and he has been detained since that date. So he's trying to fake his own death to get out of the trouble he placed upon himself. Wow. That was a little doozy at the end there, huh? I didn't expect that. That's kind of funny. They could make a movie out of this, don't you think? Anywho, what do you guys think? Whenever I see something that's very long term, like repeat, so it's every month is a repeated at least one fraudulent offense. So now we've got thousands of offenses. Well, maybe hundreds. And you always see they get convicted of one count, even though they did it repeatedly for 20 years. Anyway, I really think that should be taken into more consideration than they tend to do it. But anyway, that's it. The Hartford man who got caught after 20-something years. Interesting. And who tried to stage his own death. I think they should make a movie out of it. A Lifetime movie. That would be great. All right. Bye, guys. Have a good one.